Hskori Savata, elite ice trainer, soon to be the next professor of Auralon.
Hskori, how does it feel to have done so well last year? I heard you went undefeated until the championship itself.
Indeed, that is true. I lost in the first round, though, so it's quite surprising to have been given the position to represent Meseta.
And how do you feel about the whole ordeal?
It feels a bit surreal. It's no secret that I was in the middle of writing a dissertation on the ice type, so being given a position to study them directly in this manner feels a bit catch-all, too cliché, too much of a bad ending to an even worse feel-good movie.
Well, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
No, I find it quite apt, regardless of my elation for such non-coincidence to happen. It'll help me further my career.
Understandable. I can understand your point of view as to why you would think that. Next question. You were on the team that built Gym, correct?
Only by technicality. I was an intern under my professor, Miss Frizzle. She was a bit more active on the project. I was mostly there to help double-check numbers, test calculations, and do coffee runs for everyone involved.
Regardless of your involvement, how do you feel about it now that roughly a decade has passed?
I find the project a major success. Gym hasn't shut down to any capacity. In fact, this machine learning has grown beyond our previous predictions and calculations.
Then I'm sure you've heard of the protests surrounding the project, yes?
Yes, and I find it rather imbecilic that they are. Gym was made out of necessity, more so than curiosity. At this point, he's as important to terra firma as terra firma is important to him, and it's quite clear that he has surpassed his programming. At best, those protesters should be elated that Gym hasn't gone rogue and decided to exterminate any and all ill will against him.
I'll ignore the fact that your answer was quite dark.
It's the truth.
I will move on to something a little less dark. I'm sure you've heard that this year there's quite a large roster of trainers, almost 30% bigger than our usual contestant lineup. Have you got eyes on anyone this circuit?
Nay is a trainer that has piqued my interest. She seems adept in her position, regardless of her entry methods, and that knowledge will always interest me. I hope she remains studious with her upkeep and thus keep her wits about her, without and within.
I know you're well aware that the group you entered the PLCS with is often called the Dream Team, as you, Starlight, Ruby, and BORK all went undefeated until the championship itself. However, no one has actually asked you about your relationships with the others. I'll start with Ruby. How do you feel about him?
I find him to be a bit full of himself sometimes, but the ego he portrays to others isn't as large as it appears to be. It's very much within the realm of his capabilities, and I respect the fact that he never pretends to be more than he is.
And what about Starlight?
Horrendously obtuse, demonstrably loud, and egregiously annoying. But I have to respect her for her willpower and determination. Her team is comprised of things no other trainer would be willing to try, and she's somehow made it work entirely in her favor.
And finally, what about BORK?
Just like his grandmother. Perfect in every way.
And then to round off the last of the elite trainers that exist in the championship circuit, how do you feel working side by side with your university professor?
I will admit that I am a bit nervous. But she is simply the best professor that I've ever had. More than once this season, she has helped calm my nerves, as she can already tell that I've been abhorrent in raising my expectations when I'm around her. I'm very thankful she's here to help guide me through this unexpected point in my life. I can only hope that I do well enough to make her proud.
I'm sure she will be. Final question. Do you have any encouraging words to say to the viewers at home?
Sorry, I do not. I don't have anything that comes to mind to encourage these new trainers, other than to tell them to study. And I know full well that such an activity only helps a certain few types of individuals, and it would behoove me not to understand the majority of the world is quite dissimilar to myself.